College football powerhouses. The billion-dollar teams you can't afford to miss. ####The valuation of college football programs. A comprehensive ranking of Power 4 teams by potential sale price. Editor's note *. This article is part of our Rankings and Tiers series, which evaluates key players, front offices, teams, franchises, and more across various sports. How much would it cost to acquire your beloved college football program? While college football has increasingly adopted a professional model, one significant distinction remains. NCAA teams are not currently available for purchase. At least, not yet. However, recent ventures into private equity by institutions such as Florida State and Boise State have prompted The Athletic to envision a future where teams like the Seminoles and Broncos could be traded like professional franchises, similar to the Boston Celtics or Tampa Bay Rays. To tackle this hypothetical scenario, we employed a methodology that blends both art and science. We analyzed actual professional transactions to estimate purchase prices in relation to a team's revenue over the last 3 years. Sales in the NFL and NBA informed our ratios for the SEC and Big Ten, while MLB and NHL transactions served as benchmarks for the ACC and Big 12. For each institution in a Power 4 conference, including Notre Dame, we considered various factors such as prestige, championship history, facility upgrades, demographic trends, and potential realignment scenarios. This approach means we treat Notre Dame more like the Los Angeles Lakers and Boston College, more like the Kansas City Royals. Given that athletic departments report football revenue in varying ways, our figures are somewhat fluid. Real-world transactions are far more intricate than what can be calculated on a spreadsheet or what you might see on a show like Shark Tank. However, the complexities of actual sales are also imperfect. The price a team fetches, which is our goal in this analysis, does not equate to its intrinsic value, a topic for another discussion. Buyers often pay a premium due to the limited opportunities to own a sports franchise. This sentiment is even more pronounced in college football, where established loyalties and emotional decisions run deep. For instance, while Texas A&M narrowly missed our $1 billion threshold, it's easy to imagine a few Aggies supporters artificially inflating the price to boast about spending a 9-figure sum on their team. Similarly, a Michigan fan might be willing to pay extra to ensure the Wolverines outbid Ohio State. Take our numbers with a grain of salt, both literally and figuratively. Instead, view this as a playful exercise in combining rough calculations with common sense to evaluate college programs, as if they were professional counterparts. A theoretical endeavor for now, but perhaps not for long. 1. Texas. $2.38 billion projected price. 3-year average football revenue $183 million. The Longhorns consistently lead the nation in revenue, being the only team to surpass $200 million in the latest financial reports. No other program came within $25 million of Texas in the past 2 years. Although the Longhorns haven't claimed a national title since 2005, they reached the college football playoff semifinals in the last 2 seasons, and are among the top contenders for the upcoming championship. With the added prestige of the SEC brand, Texas appears to be the most secure investment. Our valuation aligns with the 2018 sale of the Carolina Panthers, which was nearly $2.3 billion. 2. Georgia. $1.92 billion. Average football revenue $147 million. The Bulldogs rank second in average revenue and are a formidable force, having only 5 losing seasons in the last half-century. However, we hesitated at the price and ranking suggested by our figures. Should Georgia truly be valued higher than the next 3 teams on our list? We ultimately justified this ranking based on demographic growth. Georgia's population has doubled since 1980, with only 3 states experiencing greater growth from 2020 to 2024, according to the U.S. Census. This trend, combined with Georgia's emergence as a top 4 producer of football talent, and its rise as a national powerhouse under Kirby Smart, gives the Bulldogs an advantage as a long-term investment. 3. Ohio State. $1.90 billion. Average football revenue $116 million. Initially, our figures would have placed the Buckeyes 6th at $1.5 billion, But this is where the artistic aspect of our analysis comes into play. Ohio State's revenue was impacted by a 2023 season with only 6 home games, and it takes time for the financial benefits of last season's national championship run to be reflected in the accounts. The Buckeyes are also the most recession-resistant program, with only one losing season in the past 35 years. These factors prompted us to elevate Ohio State in our rankings.
4 Notre-Dame, $1,85 billion ***.
Average football revenue $143 million. The reported income does not yet reflect a significant increase in TV revenue, due to the contract extension the Irish secured with NBC in 2023, which is substantial enough to bring Notre Dame's earnings close to those of SEC and Big Ten programs. Last year's playoff appearance also bolsters this valuation. Not that we need to justify the high price tag for a team known for adorning its helmets with real gold flakes. 5. Michigan, $1.83 billion. Average football revenue $141 million. Michigan boasts the largest stadium, and, according to our previous analysis, the largest fan base as well. So why do the Wolverines rank below their rivals, the Buckeyes? Their performance on the field has been more erratic, with 5 unranked seasons since 2013, and they compete with Michigan State for a share of a smaller state with slower population growth. Michigan appears to be a slightly riskier investment compared to Ohio State. 6. Alabama, $1.74 billion. Average football revenue $133 million. Alabama was the last team to achieve our top revenue multiplier of 13 times reported revenue, thanks to the tradition and prestige that existed before Nick Saban, and will likely endure after him. These factors help mitigate the risks if the program experiences a downturn under Kalen DeBoer or any future successors. As we take a long-term perspective, our valuation places the Crimson Tide on par with the 2024 sale of the Baltimore Orioles, which was valued at $1.725 billion, or the anticipated price for the Rays, estimated at $1.7 billion. 7. Oklahoma, $1.49 billion. Average football revenue $135 million. While Oklahoma has long been one of the most stable programs outside of Ohio State, its dominance was established in the Big 8/12, not the SEC. Instead of being one of 2 unquestioned powerhouses, the Sooners risk being overshadowed, as they were last year. For these reasons, we ranked Oklahoma below Alabama, despite its slightly higher revenue. 8. USC, $1.40 billion. Average football revenue $71.3 million. Here we took a significant liberty. Revenue figures alone would place the Trojans' value in the range of Nebraska and Wisconsin, $800 million to $900 million. However, these numbers do not account for the millions they are gaining annually by moving away from Pac-12 payouts and receiving full shares from the Big Ten. Coupled with their historical brand power, which aligns more with Alabama or Oklahoma, and the value of Los Angeles, this valuation seems reasonable. 9. Tennessee, $1.37 billion. Average football revenue $124.9 million. Texas, Notre Dame, and Michigan are the only programs that reported higher football revenue than Tennessee in the last fiscal year. However, the Volunteers were outside the top 12 in some pre-pandemic financial assessments and have a recent history that can be described as volatile at best. This valuation places them just below the 2023 valuation of the NHL's Tampa Bay Lightning. 10. LSU, $1.23 billion. Average football revenue $102.9 million. While we would value the Tigers somewhere below the Texas-Alabama tier, but above Tennessee and Oklahoma, their average football revenue ranked only 13th nationally. LSU's overall athletic department revenue was in the 8 to 10 range, which bolstered our confidence in this ranking and valuation. 11. Penn State, $1.20 billion. Average football revenue $109.5 million. Penn State is currently upgrading Beaver Stadium with enhanced amenities and a new club area. This renovation is projected to cost up to $700 million, but is expected to yield increased revenue streams in our scenario. The Nittany Lions will be an intriguing team to monitor in 5 years if they can capitalize on this season and fulfill their Pitt and VT Outvalue WVU. The Athletics College Football Valuations revealed. Imagine if college football teams were up for sale. How much would they fetch? Well, a recent projection by Matt Baker of The Athletic has attempted to answer this intriguing question. He's valued every Power 4 school, and his findings are sure to spark some lively debates among sports enthusiasts. Baker's methodology involved calculating a 3-year average of revenue figures for public schools, with a multiplier range of 5-13x for SEC and Big Ten teams, and 4-9x for Big 12 and ACC teams. He also considered data from Sportico and the Knight Newhouse College Athletics database, as well as figures submitted to the U.S. Department of Education. However, his calculations didn't account for the recent introduction of player payments or the value of stadium assets. West Virginia University's football program was valued at $284 million, ranking 53rd out of 68 Power 4 programs and 10th in the Big 12. While this ranking might make sense given the program's passionate fan base, it's the teams ranked above WVU that have raised some eyebrows. Teams like Minnesota, Virginia Tech, Northwestern, Illinois, Indiana, Purdue, Iowa State, Syracuse, Colorado, Duke, Pitt, and Maryland are all valued higher, and this has left many scratching their heads. With the Big Ten and SEC teams potentially benefiting from an inflated valuation due to the methodology, it's hard to believe that some of these teams would fetch a higher price on the open market. But here's where it gets controversial. Northwestern, Purdue, and Maryland? Really? It's a bold claim, and one that's sure to divide opinions. And this is the part most people miss. The true value of these programs might not be known until fans can become shareholders, much like the Green Bay Packers situation. It's an intriguing concept, and one that WVU AD Ren Baker has already discussed. So what do you think? Are these valuations accurate, or do you have a different perspective? Feel free to share your thoughts and join the discussion in the comments below. College football program values. Why experts say $1.65 billion to $0. What is the true value of college football programs? Experts estimate a staggering range from $1.65 billion to a surprising $0. Recently, The Athletic assigned a hypothetical market value to each Power 4 college football team, suggesting that Texas could fetch nearly $2.4 billion, while Houston might only be worth $91 million. Today, we will delve into a related yet distinct inquiry. What is the actual worth of these programs? This question is currently being explored by valuation specialists Kevin Kaiser from the University of Pennsylvania and Jacqueline Garner from Georgia Tech. Their preliminary findings indicate a wide spectrum of values, with Ohio State potentially exceeding $1.6 billion, while some programs might be valued at nothing. The nuances in their research highlight significant and pertinent differences, as they elaborated in a recent discussion. Understanding cost versus value. In the realm of professional sports, teams are treated as businesses, leading many to equate their worth with potential earnings. However, this perspective does not accurately reflect the reality of the industry. Wealthy individuals who purchase teams often view them as status symbols, akin to luxury yachts or priceless artworks. Kaiser, a finance professor at Penn's Wharton School, explains, these buyers are not viewing their acquisitions as investments. Rather, they are purchasing for the enjoyment of sharing their new ownership with friends. The price they pay is more a reflection of their happiness than of any cash flow value. This disconnect results in inflated prices for professional franchises, as seen in the $6 billion sales of the Washington Commanders and the Boston Celtics, which far exceed their actual financial worth. Garner, a senior lecturer at Georgia Tech, notes, there's no way to justify a $6 billion valuation based on cash flows. Even with optimistic assumptions, I cannot arrive at that figure. The same logic applies to hypothetical sales of college football teams. Even if a program's financials suggest minimal value, a wealthy booster may still be eager to purchase it for the pride and prestige of owning their favorite team. The distinction of private equity. When investment firms eventually enter the college sports arena, their approach will differ significantly from that of billionaires in the NFL or NBA. Garner points out, investment firms do not seek trophy assets. They are accountable for generating profits. They would risk their careers if they focused on vanity purchases. This raises critical questions about how these external entities will enhance cash flows to justify their investments. Where will the additional funds originate? What costs will be reduced? Kaiser envisions a scenario where a profit-driven private equity firm collaborates with a booster seeking a trophy asset. This partnership could influence everything from the purchase price to the financial returns. Private equity might aim to maximize their share of the cash flow, leaving the other party with a team that generates little revenue, but they will still enjoy the satisfaction of ownership, he explains. The impact of player compensation. The legalization of direct payments to players, effective July 1 due to the House versus NCAA lawsuit settlement, has introduced immediate expenses for schools, potentially reaching $20.5 million in the first year alone, with annual increases of 4% expected thereafter. If investors anticipate a 10% return on their investment, Kaiser and Garner suggest that the new revenue-sharing model could diminish a program's valuation by nearly $350 million unless offset by increased ticket prices. This reduction could eliminate any value for some of the smaller revenue-generating programs within the Power Four. Kaiser remarks, the top-tier teams will likely manage, but losing $350 million in value overnight is still a significant blow. This could lead to long-term consequences that may eventually separate football teams from their universities. Looking ahead, considering college football programs as long-term investments requires a comprehensive understanding of the broader landscape. While conference realignment has been relatively stable at the Power Four level, significant changes could be on the horizon as television contracts for the Big Ten, SEC, Big 12, and college football playoff are set to expire between 2030 and 2034. The future valuation of programs in this elite tier will hinge on their ability to increase cash flow through avenues such as ticket sales and lucrative TV contracts. Garner notes, programs that adapt to these changes will see substantial cash flow increases compared to their peers, widening the value gap even further. How much wider will it get? Kaiser warns, the disparity is not minor, it's astronomical. If Division I teams are relegated from the Premier League or Super League, they could effectively be reduced to the status of Division II schools in some respects. Engage with us. What are your thoughts on the valuation of college football programs? Do you agree with the experts' assessments, or do you have a different perspective? Share your opinions in the comments below.